Good evening, sir.
Good evening to you too. How are you?
Good evening, sir.
I am
Hey,
fine.
Mike. Hi, how are you? Does this represent the class, the total cohort of students? Or am I to expect more students?
A few more.
All right. Okay. Thank you. I'll just wait on another couple of minutes.
Sir, a student, Kyle Thomas, I should tell her that she would not be able to make it tonight. So she just
Mhm.
want me to inform you for her.
All right. Thank you, sir. Okay, I'm seeing two more students that that came on. Am I to expect, with the exception of that student that is absent, am I to expect anybody else? Does this look like the class?
There are still other students, but this is more than half.
Okay, all right. All right, I'll wait another 4 minutes and I just begin at 7:20. Thanks, Sir Michael. All right, so a very pleasant evening to you, well, night now. And I'm trusting that you guys are ready to go. And tonight is not going to be a very heavy session because I need to set the foundation, you know, do some housekeeping, you know, lay some ground rules, talk to you about my expectations. Then I also will give you an opportunity to talk to me about your expectations of me. And, you know, we'll get to know each other a little bit more. And of course, yes, I have some stuff that I'll be teaching tonight. But for the most part, we just need to lay the foundation, get some housekeeping out of the way, so that when we would meet on Wednesday of this week, God's willing, we can just be running full speed ahead. So, my name is Mark Shand. I am going to be your lecturer for this semester. Fortunately or unfortunately, don't know how you want to take it, but I'm looking forward to be working with you all. Some of the first things that I will really talk about, you are all science students, irrespective of what others may make you feel or what you feel of your own. We are all science students, and as such, science students should come to the science classroom with a lot of questions, a lot of inquiry. There are a lot of things that should be popping up into your headspace. And I don't want you to just keep them there in your headspace. I want you to share them. What's the point I'm making? I don't teach a class where I alone speak. I keep saying to students, I can lie in my bed, I can sit in my couch, I can lounge outside, I can do anything I want and talk to myself about the information that I'll be sharing with you, because I've already studied this information. So I'm expecting you to speak, to talk to me. Let us have an interactive class. And I promise you, if you do this throughout your course of study, things will get a little clearer for you. And let me just lay one or two ground rules and the reasons for that. So I remember when I was in my geology classes at the university, I went into this course not knowing what geology was. I had absolutely no clue. I was flung into something, and something that I ended up liking, and I was like, okay. But I had other colleagues who were from other Caribbean territories, you know, Trinidad, Barbados, Turks and Caicos, the ABC Islands. And, you know, when I hear them share experiences about geology, I was like, where do you come from? Oh no, smart. But guess what? When they shared and continued to share, I was able to learn a lot from their experiences. And it's one of the mantras that I have taken from many years ago to today. You share information. This is how we learn. Information should not be hoarded. So I don't want anybody to be in my class and hoard the information as if it's yours. It's not yours. I'm going to be sharing this information with you. So if you understand it or can appreciate it, I will ask you to share the information with somebody else. Fast forward to many years later at the university. I was doing some other course of study, and this particular course was geared for principals. Now, I'm not a principal. And I remember having a colleague of mine in the class, and we two could have been the only two in the class that were not principals. And I often question myself, what on earth am I doing inside of this class? I don't have the wealth of experiences that these people are sharing. But guess what? I sat in the class and I listened intently to their experiences. And those experiences became my experiences. And when it's time for me to write my exam and they asked to give examples of different stuff. The examples that I gave weren't my own examples, were examples from my classmates who shared their experiences. Some of the experiences that they shared, I remember, became public, and I had to go and read the newspaper or whatever it is, and listen to the newscast just to get more information about the matter surrounding what it is that we're talking about, so that I can get a fulsome understanding of it, so that I'll be able to to speak authoritatively on the matter. So it is important for you to share information. If you know something and you want to share to contribute to a conversation, share it. You may very well see that when you share something, somebody else has a similar experience and can share, and then you guys can put these two together, or three or four or five together. So it is that a question comes and asks to give an example of a particular situation, and you are able to pull back from your repertoire some of these very examples that you're going to be asking to do, right? So it's very important for you to share, very, very important. And I was forever say that there are many sheets of paper that the Council of Community Colleges of Jamaica have in their possession, so you don't have to worry that it's just 5 associate degrees you can give. So therefore, you're going to see the 5 strongest will survive and climb up on each other to get where it is. No. They have more than that. They have plenty more. So all of us can, achieve what it is that we need to achieve. All right. Absenteeism is something that I don't like. If you find yourself in a situation where you can't make it to class, just like what that young lady did and asked Michael to say, apologize for me, I won't be able to make it to class. That is a sort of the level of maturity that I expect you to come to the class with. The classes will not be me coming and dictating notes to you. Nope. That won't work. I will present some stuff to you. But for this course is going to be one of reading. I will lay the foundation in class, but you now need to go and take the foundation, the laid foundation, and read widely to build on that foundation. I will say to you, like any tertiary institution, they say to you that the lecture present 20% and the additional 80% should come from you students. I'm not going to be saying that this is the best teaching methodology, but I can recall again how I survived at the university, not just me, but my other classmates, studying this discipline. The lecturer will come to class and present. But in order for us to have a fulsome understanding, we have to read different articles and different texts and different stuff, so it is that we can put things into perspective. All right? So it's going to be very important for you to read. But sir, I don't have a textbook. Not a problem. Fortunately for you, going to school at this point in time, you have the resources at the click of a button. All right? And I'm sure many, if not all of you, have smartphones that you can put into your device something about geology, and a myriad of information comes up, and I'm sure you can read through and decipher and make points and make notes and just try to understand and digest the matter. It's very important. It's a very interesting field, and tonight I'm going to just have that initial conversation with you so that you can know exactly what geology is, why it's important for us to study geology. Geologists are very important people in our world, hands down. The truth of the matter is, my geology may be dormant because I'm also a math lecturer, and I teach many more math courses than I do these other courses. I was pulled into teaching in the bachelor's program, chemistry and the environment, engineering, environment, environmental statistics, and one next one, I can't remember it now, right? And now I'm asked to teach geology. So I am trained in both areas. It's just that I have not, I have been teaching more math courses than I have been teaching over this side of STEM. So, I have a few more. Very important, respect. Irrespective of age group, we could be the same age. respect is still due. Um, I I will forever say to you that, as I said to my bachelor students today, never ever burn the bridges behind you, because you don't know when you have to cross it, come back over. You don't know. So respect is going to be due. I will first give you respect, and in return, I'm going to expect to get back that respect. We will have disagreements. Oh, yeah. I mean, in any relationship, you'll have disagreements. We will have disagreements. But it's how it is that we are going to be dealing with those disagreements will make us become mature beings. If you have a difficulty and you don't want to talk to me in class, you can say, "Sir, can I speak to you outside of class?" I have absolutely no problem. But we're going to be maturing how it is that we deal with the matter. So, as I said before, I am not teaching persons who cannot speak. So I expect to hear conversations in a class. My class is supposed to be lively. My classes are at night, and I don't want to fall asleep. All right? Neither do I want to put you asleep. And of course, respect is going to be due every time. One of the things I don't want again is that you log on to class, but you're multitasking with everything else but class. And it doesn't have to only be my class, but I think you may be doing EIA now with Mr. Wald, if I'm not mistaken. But whichever courses you're doing, don't just log on and to say that, "But sir, I was there." I want you to log on and give us your 100%. That's best as possible. We understand the situation. We understand the climate that we're in, that we have to be online and we're not on the main campus, whatever the situation is. But, you have to take that and make the concerted effort to do what it is that you're supposed to be doing. As it relates to the recordings, I will send the recordings to you. I have me a YouTube channel. I will some point in time share the YouTube channel link that I'll be posting my what do you call it, the recordings in the YouTube channel. And the reason I do this, because it's once I put it in there, I don't want to send something in a WhatsApp group, and I'll come to that after. And I don't want to send it somewhere and then students can't find, "Oh, sorry, can you send me the recording from 3 weeks back?" I'm not going to be doing that. So I'm going to put all the recordings in one place, central place, that you will know where to go and find the recordings. All right. So I have many recordings in my channel because I have been doing this for quite a while. And when you get there, you will see foundation concepts, you'll see pre-calculus, you'll see business calculus, calculus 1, calculus 2. Don't pay those any mind. What I will do, all your geology recordings, I will label it accordingly, geology. So you can just pick up those and do what it is that you need to do with them. All right. I'm going to pause there for now and just take any questions that you may possibly have, so it is that we can be on the same part. Oh, I have a weakness. I tell this to my students every time. Okay, so Michael, let's say good night. Sometimes I'm lost when I'm teaching and keep forgetting to look at the chat. I have gotten better at it over the period of time, but I get very lost into teaching. I'm so engrossed in what it is that I'm doing that I forget sometimes to check the chat. So every now and again, if you say that you put something in the chat and I'm not responding or I don't talk about it, just say, "Sir, remember the chat." Just bring it to my attention, please. So, I know I have a limitation. So I'm going to ask you to so help me that I may be able to overcome that particular limitation. All right, I give you an opportunity to speak now, and then we will take it from there. Who is going first?
Okay, sir. I'll go first. I'll start the ball, get the ball rolling.
Go ahead.
So I'm Michael James.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Michael James, first year environmental studies student, also union treasurer, and a lover of the environment. Um, I'm excited about doing the course, and I'm happy that I'm able to do a course with you. So that I heard that you do the upper level courses, year 3 and 4. So
Right.
I'm happy to be able to get a feel of how you teach before going over to year 3 and 4.
Right. No problem. Thank you, Michael. I remember you from first year, first semester. I know we've not met face to face.
Orientation, yeah.
Right, orientation good.
Yes.
We've been having conversations, right? So I'm very happy to have you too, Michael. I'm also a lover of the environment. I remember one Sunday morning I'm going to church, and this taxi man almost made me sin. The nasty man drove up near one drainage, people call it gully, and take one black scandal bag and toss it over there. And the bag didn't go into the gully. It fell on the side of the thing. And the man stopping car, come out of the car, took the bag and drop it into the gully. I vex, I vex, I vex, I vex, I vex. I mean, I had to remind myself that it's a Sunday morning, you're on your way to church, you can't have vexation of the spirit, go easy. And I'm saying, if you don't take care of the environment will not be able to take care of you. And you may say, Cho, me soon dead and gone. Okay, what about your offspring? What about, we can't be thinking selfishly. And these people sometimes will sweep up their yard to let them yard look clean and take the bag of leaf or the dead dog or the dead puss and go throw it in a gully and litter somewhere else and pollute something else. And we're going to get into all of this, We're going to get into all of this. And, I just call it selfish. I really call it selfish. So, yeah, man, I'm a lover of the environment. The environment takes care of us. And where we are going now with this pandemic and, the early signs of famine that are taking place and so forth and so on. It's very important. If we don't do what we need to do with the environment is not going to be able to take care of us in a manner that we ought to. It ought to take care of us. All right. So thank you, Michael. Anybody else? Asia. Can you unmute from
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, sir.
how you doing?
My name is Asia Holt. I'm also doing environmental studies like everyone here, and I'm excited to learn about what this course entails.
Okay, no problem, Miss Holt. No problem. Rodriguez is so quick about it, so you can't talk because Trina want to talk to teacher tonight. It's life. Never mind. Never mind, Miss Rod. Is this fast? Okay. All right, Janelle. What say you?
Good night, everyone.
Hmm.
My name is Janelle Raymond. I'm a part of the Environmental Studies Associate Degree Group, and I am very interested in seeing what this course carries.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Thank you.
All right, no problem. Correct. Karen?
Sorry, sir. I'm here, so I didn't really. I heard you talk, but I didn't hear which name you called, so I just wanted to
Okay.
make.
All right, no problem. Go ahead. What say you?
Okay, good night, everyone. My my name is Carol Campbell. I am a first year, and I'm kind of curious and also interested to see like where this course will head, where what we will do, and the different things we'll learn, and just I'm just curious. Sir.
You're just curious. All right, no problem. Thank you, Daniela.
Which one of us, sir?
Oh, did I told you?
Yeah, but Daniela and yeah, but Daniela.
Oh, Daniela. All right, Daniela, since you're on mute, Miss Wright, you can go ahead. Daniela. All right, go ahead.
So my name is Daniela Wright, and like everyone else, I'm doing environmental studies. I'm just curious to see where this goes, and I am excited to have you as a teacher. I expect a lot from you, sir.
Jeans and peas. So let me ask you a question now. Can I reciprocate that expectation?
As long as you teach, sir, definitely.
All right, Miss Wright, no problem. Uh, Dowdin?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, well, go on.
Sir, nothing.
So you don't have nothing to say?
No, sir.
I mean, no, come talk to me. Tell me something.
Sir, what do you want to know?
What is geology?
What is what?
Geology.
Study of the planet Earth, I think.
Okay.
And else.
And something else, right?
What?
And who? You're saying something else?
I said and minerals.
Oh, and minerals. Oh, I didn't hear you. And minerals. Okay. True. Yeah, man. Minerals. Name me a mineral.
Sir,
No, you see, because you don't have anything to say, that's why you need to say something because I am going to ask you the question. Just name one mineral. Any mineral that you know, just name it to me.
sir, sir, my brain kind of blank right now.
Your brain kind of blank under the first night of class. All
Sir,
right.
I don't remember.
All right, no problem. Coming back to you. Coming back to you. I'm going to press pause. All right, no problem. Vanika, how you do?
Good night, everyone. Good night, sir.
You're low. You're very low, Vanika.
Hello, everyone hearing me? Can I hear me?
Very, very low. I'm not sure if I'm the only one that not hearing it so well.
Yellow for me as well.
No?
Okay, then, yeah, I was hearing a little bit better. Go ahead, dearest.
Okay, so like everyone else, yes, doing environmental studies second year, still wondering about going over to the bachelor's. Heard you say about yes, the accreditation still getting to my mind. Heard you speak about geology and we need to, do our research and reading. I'm saying this is intense. I went
Mm-hmm.
with the syllabus and I'm like, yes, I did some of this in geography, but I do not remember. So I just
Mm-hmm.
that I can follow through with some researches and I can take it and ask questions.
No problem. No problem. Not a problem at all. All right, Divya?
Yes, sir.
Well, go on.
No.
So,
I did.
just dry so? You hear what your classmates are
I'm a first year. My name is David Batten. I'm a
mm-hmm.
first year student, and I'm just curious about what the outcome of this course.
Okay, all right. Alexia?
Good night, sir, and good night to everyone on the platform.
Mm-hmm.
I am Alexia Montague. I am also doing the environmental studies, and I expect to learn in this class.
Okay. All right, no problem. Appreciate it. Hear from Janelle already. Carol, I don't think I heard from you, Carol. And then Marshall.
Oh, okay.
You spoke, right? It's just that I wanted to hear from you again, that's why. All right, Denisa, Marshall, your turn. You're last. Welcome.
Hi.
Good night.
So I'm Denisa Marshall. I'm a first year student, and I'm just eager to learn. Although I am not sure what geology consists of, but I'm willing to learn.
Okay, all right, no problem. All right, so I'm going to share. I'm going to share some stuff with you, and are you seeing my screen?
Yes, sir.
All right, good. So for those of you who don't know, I give this bit of information, but I am the head of school for the School of STEM, and I'm also the head of the math department, and I'm also the dean of the Faculty of Pure and Applied Sciences. So I know I will have even more interaction. I know I have been interacting with you guys for the what we call it now, town hall meetings. So some of the names I know, and I will definitely be interacting with you even more. Uh, as the time goes on. All right. So so we're gonna have a lot of conversation. This class is not for people who will sit down and don't talk. This class is going to be a lot of conversations. All right. Now let me just say this again. I will present to you the information. I expect of you to read more around this information. Students, let me tell you what I find. And I found this when I was teaching my upper level courses, that some students would just come to class and want to take the information that the lecturer presents and go into an exam and believe that they can just regurgitate that information. Those days were finished from CXC. So when I started giving those students lots of handouts and lots of projects for them to go and research and come and present to class, this is where the real learning took place. All right. So yes, I'll be giving you projects. I'll be giving you a whole lot of presentation. You need to be able to develop your presentation skills. When I give you projects and areas to go and research to present to the class, it makes you better understand what was happening. There's one other thing I need to tell you before I move into the stuff. I know I'm projecting, and while I'm listening, I want you guys to look at what I have there. I remember doing a very difficult geological course, very difficult. This course now was, what was it, Lord? It's called Caribbean Geology. You hear what it says? Caribbean Geology. So we're not looking only at the geology of Jamaica now. Yes, we did that, but we had to look at the geology of the Caribbean. Now the Caribbean is big. How many of you sit down and remember the geology of the Caribbean? So when I don't remember when we did. I think we did that course in second year. And I remember the final year students would come to us and say, don't play with this course, because this course has a high failure rate. If 10 students do this course, 2 students can pass. I'm going to say, blow. 2 students? I said, no, man, this can't work. And we went into the course, and the lecturer came and just gave us handouts and did the stuff, and it was a whole lot to digest. We had to look at the geology of Cuba, we had to look at the geology of Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, we had to look at the geology of the whole Caribbean. It was a rough course. For 12 weeks, rough. Fortunately for you, we don't have to do all of that. And I remember when the results came, all of my friends, we all failed. But let me tell you how the failure took place now. Unlike the university, I know my average was almost 60%. Now, when I went to university, it was 40% for the pass mark. But if you got 5 papers to do, you got a class test, you got a project, you got a final exam, you have one research, and you have something else, you have to pass all 5 components in order for you to pass. And then you pass the course. So I passed 4 out of the 5 components. My average was almost 60%, which would have given me a C, I believe, no, a B, something, whatever it was. I don't remember what grade it was. It's been many years. And I failed the course. And I was saying to them, but I don't understand. My average is even higher than those students who, because they're supposed to grades, that's my average is even minus. I said, no, you have to. So I would say back and do the component. I remember what I could do in one semester. I remember doing it one night. What was that, sir? I took up the most unfriendly textbook that was ever written.
Sir, we're not hearing you. Went off.
Yeah, sorry about that happened. And so reading the book, I don't know how many pages it has, but I remember sitting up one night and reading the textbook of my internet unstable. Reading that textbook one night. But guess what? I felt so comfortable what I was reading.
Sorry, you're breaking up a lot. We're not hearing you. As Sir get bunks off, hopefully him come on back shortly.
Okay, is this any better?
Yes, sir.
All right, forgive me. So I was actually on the road earlier while I was preparing for your class. I'm actually using a device, and I was using my data on the road, and I didn't recognize that it didn't switch over to the Wi-Fi, and the data is the device is dying. So which is why I was getting disconnected. So I'm now connected to my Wi-Fi. So it should be, even though it's a medium signal, but it should be fine. Yeah. So what I was saying to you is that what I read the night, I could have written an exam the following morning because I just, the dots I could not connect. And this is a point I'm making. I remember going to school the following day with all my classmates. We in final year, and I have to do over this second year course. And I would say to my classmates, I said, guys, guess what we're missing? And I was able to teach the class. And we went in the exam, did the exam. It was a breeze because there was just one little something that we were missing. Because what we didn't recognize is that the geology of Jamaica compares with the geology of Cuba, compares with the geology of Hispaniola. So, I mean, there are several things. So if you understood the geology of Jamaica, you could extrapolate that information to the geology of some other Caribbean countries. And it was a seamless process. What's the point? The point is you have to read, which is what I did. Now, I read, and the second thing is that you have to share the information. Now, I went ahead and I shared the information. And in sharing the information, I have quite a number of my colleagues who were able to move on and move out because they understood what it is that was done. All right. Let me see if I can reshare this document and then we can have our conversation. It says geology. Geology is a scientific study of the earth. Somebody said it earlier. It's a scientific study of the earth, including the materials that it is made up of. I remember somebody was asking about saying something about minerals. And yes, that's very important. The minerality is very indicative of some of the things that we do, some of the things that we experience, and they are very, very, very important. The truth is, and which is why you do geography also, and I guess farming is going to be a part of your geography course. There are some extremely important minerals in our soil that our bodies need. And if it is that the soil does not contain those stuff, we're not going to be having any plants. We're not going to be having any greens. I talk about things like your N, your P, and your K, your nitrogen, your phosphorus, and your potassium. 3 very important minerals for plant growth. When you move up to the upper level, you'll hear more about those. All right? This word right here, so the lithosphere, very important word, and you'll hear more about that. See minerals right here, so very important. And some of these other minerals that are needed for our bodies. Zinc, selenium, magnesium. These are all minerals that are found within the crust of the earth, and our plants pick it up and we eat what is happening there. So when we eat our callaloo and we eat our banana and our plantain and our pumpkin and our beans and anything that is planted, we will get enough of those supplements that our bodies need, right? So it's very important study of the earth, including the minerals that it is made up of, the physical and chemical processes that occur on the surface and in its interior, right? So the chemical and physical processes that takes place not only on the surface of the earth, but within the earth makes it very, very, very important. So this is what I'm saying to you. The lithosphere is very, very, very important. I'm seeing another sphere that is somewhere there. The biosphere, right? Talking about how things exist within the world. And we talk about, of course, the history of the planet and its life forms, right? So it's a multifaceted sort of course. Now, I'm giving you this basic definition of geology. I would now expect you to go and read more of what this area of study entails. And I'm giving you quite a bit of stuff here. And, as I said before, the aim is to get your appetites, somewhat, aroused, so that you can start salivating for the course. So we're looking at geology. We can move to environmental resources. Wow. On the geology, of course, I spoke about the lithosphere, which is the earth that you and I walk on. We talk about samples that we can take from the earth. There are so many other things that we're looking here. One of the things that I thought about that I'll do is ask the class to look at what I have here, pick out one thing from it, and tell me what it is that you think you know about that thing. Is it pollution? Is it biodiversity? Is it continents? Is it mining? Is it exploration? Is it volcanoes? What is it? Eruption? You pick something out, and I want somebody to just talk to me about it. Something that interests you, that or may seem very interesting. Hello?
Continent.
Continent. What about continent that excites you?
I know there are certain countries in the world that they were once one large supercontinent called Pangea.
Good. All right. Very nice. And of course, the geology of these continents may differ, and as a result of that, you will have differences in their water cycle. You may have differences in a lot of things. One of the things about studying hydrogeology, and hydrogeology is really the studying of hydro is what?
Water.
Water, yeah, man. So when you're studying water, several things came up, and I remember doing some stuff, and we recognized that, like when in Jamaica here, we can turn on our taps and we can drink water. Anybody drink pipe water? I mean, everybody, anybody, or you drink bottled water? Anybody just drink pure pipe water, or nobody drinks pipe water? You drink pipe water, yeah, man.
You drink pipe water, man.
You drink pipe water, good. But the truth is, there are some countries that you can't trust them pipe water. And I think Guyana is one of those countries that their pipe water is not good even for potable use. Because when you turn your taps on, I'm not sure if it has improved since then, but I remember years ago, when you turn on your tap water and you put it in a glass and you look into it, you can actually see things moving around. It's literally with the naked eye. It's not pure water. It's not good water. So they will have to boil their water. They will have to treat their water in order for their water to become, potable. Now, in Jamaica, because of 70% thereabout of our exposure in our lithosphere, talking about our rock exposure in our lithosphere, is limestone. And limestone has one of the properties where it is that it helps to purify our groundwater reserve. So when you look at our groundwater reserve, we can actually drill down into our groundwater and get potable water we just drink. Hint, hint. How many times a year people go to spring and just drink the water clear from the spring? Hint, hint. Catherine Peak. When you talk about spring water, it is just literal spring water that they get coming out of the surface of the earth. All right? So as you speak about continents, yes, man. So it depends on location. Then one can say, no, man, Jamaica is a place of land, wood, and water. And we have some of the best minerals that we can find. All right? And what I'm doing here is just whetting your appetites. So, for example, the International Seabed Authority, that is located downtown Kingston, Jamaica Conference Center, they have monitors in our ocean by the Kingston Harbor that are monitoring all those minerals that are precipitating out into the sea. So we have platinum, we have gold, we have silver, we have all these very rare and very expensive minerals that are precipitating into the sea. But guess what? Well, me sure say me not go down to go dive for it, because me not look on no shark and smell with no shark. All right? And the truth of the matter is, God has blessed each of us with some very special gifts. One of the gifts for me is not to be one of those deep sea divers to go and mine any of those stuff. I will stay on land. That's I'll stay on land. Not that I can't swim. I consider myself a medium swimmer. All right. But you will find as you read more that even if I were one of those divers, I couldn't go down and decide, say, boy, Michael, here's the plan. We're going to start one company now. We're going to go down and we're going to mine some of these minerals that are precipitating out into the ocean, because we have something that is called the exclusive economic zone. And I'm coming back to that, I'm coming back to that. Or exclusive economic zones, where if you think, say, you can go down there, go take out the people, them something. Sir, people, them, but we live in Jamaica to some one. Try go down there and do it. And see if the marine police don't come down there and arrest you. Sir, police can arrest me in the water. Try it and you find out, right? But sir, what if other countries decide to come and steal our gold and our platinum and all these other rare minerals that are precipitating out? They can't, because we have an economic zone that no other country can come and breach our economic zones, right? So which is why we have the Coast Guards, very important area. So what the Coast Guards do, they actually protect what it is that we are finding. So as a geologist, as environmentalists, we are finding stuff and we are saying to these Coast Guard that guess what? There's oil. There's oil in the Kingston Harbor. So we can't allow the United States or Russia or Ukraine to use their submarines to connect their pumps and go and start drilling and taking our oil. We have an exclusive economic zone that we are going to preserve. So it is that we can start going to our exploratory drilling. So it is that we can start getting our own crude. So it is that we can send and process and we can get our 87 and our 90 and our, you name it, all the other constituents of the crude, right? It would be very important, and very important it is if we could find these, oil sites. So yes, so the different continents will have different things that we can find. So when you go to like Trinidad is known with a lot of exploratory drilling for oil. If you go to Russia have plenty, enough. And because them in war now, I'm sure they are drilling and they are hoarding all this oil. And they are selling to people. And, I heard the news the other day to say that gas has gone to $5 plus a gallon in the States. They have never seen oil, their petrol, reach that high. Over $5 a gallon. All right. They don't use liters like how we use it. They use gallon. All right. So it's very important. So our area of study in geology is not isolated. We have to depend on other areas. The Marine Coast Guard, the Jamaica Defense Force, the International Seabed Authority, NEPA, RADA, all these other agencies we have to depend on. So it is that, we can supply the information when we do our exploratory work to say this is what is going to happen. All right. We talk about things like earthquakes, see the gas part up here. So, and we talk about mining. Mining is something that is very important. And if we don't, as environmentalists, if we don't say to the authorities that, okay, here's the plan. You see right out here, so out of Portland Bay right here, so now, we need to stop the mining, because if we don't stop, it means that if we were to have a natural, one of those natural disasters to come, the whole housing scheme there is going to wash away, because we don't have anything to prevent the water as a barrier or a barge to prevent the water from coming in and washing away these homes. So we have to stop at this point in time. So our task is very important, right? Also, when you move into the things like the engineering aspect of geology, the engineering aspect of geology now is where we move into things like using styrofoam to make roof. So instead of using a block and steel where, when sun lick it, you can't stay in the house because in there hot, and when you turn on the fan, the spare hot air circulate. What engineering geology does is to go and look at ways in which we can create and formulate new materials, geological materials, to make things better. We can have houses that are even built in Portmore, the Sunshine City, that will not trap the heat because it is reflecting it, right? And as I said before, we'll get into other areas, and well, that course is really mainly for the upper level, but I'm just showing you where geology comes in and what it is that it entails. So this is just an idea of where we go with geology, but I also prepared for tonight's class. What do geologists do? Geology is a multifaceted field with many different areas of specialization. And when I say to you you can go into forensic geology. So forensic geology, yes, man. So what is forensic geology? All right, put it this way. So, when you have those FBI agents who, you have a a murderer who, or a serial rapist who went into a particular area, and then now, you know, fortunately the victims are alive but traumatized, and you are able as a forensic geologist, well, you're called in as a forensic geologist to say, you know, we are finding some imprints in the soil. What can you do? We said, okay, fine, no problem. So as a geologist, you are going to take a mold of the imprint, so it is that you can actually have information about the shoe size of this individual. You talk about mineralogy, you have to know, go and test the minerals within that particular area, among other things. And then bam, now, a suspect is found. And then the forensic geologist will come in and say, oh, yes, this pair of shoe is actually matching this mold that we have taken. So that's one clue. And I'm building to what it is that I'm going to be talking about a little later on, you know, in class. It matches exactly what is happening. That forensic geologist, though, is going to take the shoe, is going to preserve that shoe, is going to take the shoe into the lab, is going to scrape off as much of the evidence, the dirt, so to speak, from it. And then the forensic geologist is going to perform, you know, some mineralogy on it to find out now if the mineralogy found on the crime scene matches the mineralogy found on the bottom of the shoe. And if you can say yes, for sure, the mineralogy here is the same mineralogy that we are finding on the shoe of the suspect, you can actually put that person in prison for life. So there is something that is called forensic geology, all right? And so there are many different areas of geology, many different specialization. Listed below are some common ones, So we talk about earth science teacher, like what Mr. Shandy is, you know, teach earth science, a mixture of geology, oceanography, and climatology in junior and senior high schools. Teaching certificate from the professional education program is also going to be required. We talk about economic geologists. I made mention earlier about the International Seabed Authority. So here goes economic geology. A couple of years ago, I mean, that's a couple of years ago, within the COVID, you know, could have been about 2 years ago, if not last year, no, about 2 years ago. Teachers' Day. I decided that I'm going to go to Fontana to find some stuff. Bam! I'm going in there and I found some igneous rocks that some smart person engraved and put some writing about teachers. Teachers are the best people on earth and and so forth and so on. And, you know, it looked nice, but there's a price to it. And when I look at the price, I say, but me not pay so much for it. I'm a geologist myself. No, sir. I can go to Riverbed, go pick up that, and I can come do anything with them, do I can do too. Right? So I'm now monetizing my geology, right? So I can go into the field, I can look for pyrite, which is what we call fool's gold. I can look for gold, I can look for talc, I can look for, you know, these other minerals, you know, calcium, you know, what it is that anybody has gotten a broken limb ever before and had to put on a cast? Anybody? Somebody?
Sure.
Yeah, man.
Sure.
You remember how they mix it and put it on? What did they do? Talk me through the process.
Well, you know, I don't remember. I just know say the car stretch.
The cast stretch, yeah, but it was powdery form, don't?
Yeah.
And they put water to it. Talk truth. No? Yeah? I know one person answer a while ago. Yeah, man. So they'll have it. They'll mix it to get the consistency. They'll wrap the broken arm or the broken leg with gauze, and then you're going to plaster it now with this mixture that when it dries it becomes hardened. Do you know that substance is found in nature? You can monetize it. If you have gone out there and found that substance, and we'll get back to it, because I've gone into the field and I've found it before. Won't tell you exactly where just yet. You can monetize it. You can now become an economic geologist where you can look at the exposure, you can sell medical professionals, you can package it, hospitals going to want it, clinics going to want it, you name it. So that's monetizing.
So what's the name of that substance?
I soon tell you, man. I soon tell you. Because I already I'm hearing things when I say blow, adapt, I'm going to do, I soon tell you, right? So, so what is happening is that you can go, if you go on the riverbed, at my home, what I've done, whenever I go to the beach, best believe that I'm coming back with a minimum of 12 either rocks or shells, and I have a section, which is what I call a planter box, that I no longer have it as a planter box. I have very nice sea stones, very nice, colorful stones. And at some point in time, I have them there and have them there for a particular reason. At some point in time, I will be able to maybe take it to a museum. I can slice it through, just like when you cut meat. I can use one of those saws, and I can cut through that igneous rock, for argument's sake, that is brightly colored. I can use epoxy on it I can polish it. Use some epoxy on it to maintain that sort of glow. And I can make a clock out of that. No, that clock will be priceless, right? So this is me monetizing my geology, right? And that's just one area. I gave you two areas, how it is that you can monetize your geology. An engineering geologist investigating engineering properties of rock, sediments, and soils. And this is how they make bridges, talking about like the Causeway Bridge. When they go to Good Miracle, you see them have these bridges that span a whole stretch across one whole sea. Me not drive across them something there, right? Because at some point in time, something going to go into my headspace. Causeway is fine, because by the time I say who that, I'll reach over the other side. But me now drive across something long, something. And I shouldn't even say that, because I've driven across the Golden Gates Bridge in California, which is a very long bridge, and it is held up by wires, right? But guess what? As geologists, we now have to go down and test the soil to make sure that the soil is going to be good enough, so that when them people that come, and that's engineering geology, when they come now, they can say, okay, this is what we need to do in order to withstand this amount of weight on it, right? So sometimes you'll hear trucks, 18-wheelers are not allowed across this bridge, because when the 18-wheelers go over it, it may cause it to sink or sink rapidly, right? So that's engineering geology. And of course, environmental geology, as I spoke about earlier, that guy who was throwing his stuff, in the gully, it poses a lot of problems, because it depends on what is inside there. It may be some plastics. It may get into the mouth of the sea or the fish will go and eat or choke on it. It ends up, if it contains, metal or tin or plastic bottles, it stays there, and, it just generates a whole lot of waste, and it causes a lot of pollution. And, we have these fish nets that our fish and sharks are, getting entangled in, and, they are dying out. So we have to be able to take care of our environment. It's very, very important. Geochemist is another area of study for geology. You remember I spoke to you about those oil wells that they're drilling. So a geochemist now will go and drill down and see and say, no man, this is crude. This is this percent of crude, and if we were to process the crude, we can get enough out of this. So the geochemist is going to be very important. And as I said right here, to look at other economic value. So the geochemist is going to be very important to tell you exactly what it is that you have, especially if you are doing deep sea drilling. You can become a professor of geology. Geomorphologist, you're talking about, the landscape of the continent surfaces, geophysicists, A geophysicist is one who is going to be looking at the structure of the earth into its deepest part of the interior, right? We talk about the lithosphere, the asthenosphere, the mesosphere. You have the different spheres that you're actually going to go and look deep down into what is happening there. Why are we having earthquake? Why St. Vincent and the Grenadines had a terrible earthquake the other day? What causes tsunamis? What is happening? So a whole lot of these things build up into the stuff, right? We talk about our quaternary geologists or hydrogeologists or hydrologists, marine geologists, mineralogists, a paleontologist, a petroleum geologist, a sedimentologist. You have so many areas, a seismologist. Seismology is one of those areas that is very, very important because as a geologist, what the seismologist does is to measure different vibrations within the Earth's crust, right? And these vibrations cause earthquakes, right? So the seismologists will have their equipment down and they say, something is happening here. Outside of the Keys, we're getting an unusual vibration. And they are monitoring that vibration. And, sorry, sometime later you hear that, we have an earthquake, but I could have predicted an earthquake was coming long before because I would have seen that vibration coming, from that particular center. So when you hear they talk about the center of the earthquake was in the Keys or in Mona, the seismologists already could take up and tell you exactly what is happening. And a structural geologist, we're talking about the person who is going to be studying, the faults and the folds and the other deformation within the Earth's crust. So it is that we can have ideas. And one way that Mr. Shand will never ever die from is to become a volcanologist. I'm sure I will not die from being a volcanologist. You know why? Because I'm not going to turn one. But a volcanologist is somebody who is fearless. You will have, for example, when St. Vincent and the Grenadines had their volcano, you have volcanologists from the United States who flew over St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Them dress up in them suit and them going out there. It's very hot, and they're taking samples of the pyroclastic flow that came from it. Let me ask you a question.
Sir, me that try that.
You are crazy. You are a crazy one. So you really would try? Tell me why you tried.
Sir, because it's interesting.
What do you think makes it interesting?
Just to see all the interior of it, the different gases and materials coming out of the volcano, all of that stuff.
Just to see even the lava flows and all of that, the different type. Yep, sir, let me look at why that may want to,
Sir?
Not hearing you, sir.
I think he muted his mic.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did mute my mic. Forgive me. Inadvertently, I did. Are you hearing me now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. So yeah. So I'm hearing now that boy, I wanted to become a volcanologist. No, let me tell you something. To each his own, because sometimes you have these larvae very viscous. And when I say something is viscous, it means that it moves very slow. And trust me, when it moves slow, it eats up everything in its sight. But you may have some of those lava flow it flows very fast. Now just imagine me going to go get one of them something there, samples, and then I am surrounded, John Ostar. But anyhow, it is a beautiful area because I depend on the volcanologist to come and tell me now that there was a lot of sulfur dioxide that was produced as a result of this volcanic eruption. Because as an environmentalist now, I am going to be saying there is going to be a lot of acid rain within this particular area. So I would now have that responsibility to go on and say to the residents that whenever it's raining, I'm going to ask that you stay inside and not on the outside, because you can have skin rashes. So you become a medical doctor too, you may have skin rashes. It depends on the gas in the atmosphere. You may have respiratory problems. It depends on so many other things. And this is where the chemistry comes into play. So you may have these gases that are in the atmosphere that will definitely react with the water droplets that are inside the different spheres above us, that will come down and not only damage your houses, but it may damage the cars, it may damage everything else, because over time it is developing this sort of acid rain. It depends also, because if you have gases also fall to the ground. So if we have enough of these sulfur dioxide or even these carbon dioxides in the atmosphere, it may, when it rains, it may fall into the sea. Rock, stone, sir, fall into the sea. Yeah, man. So you talk about aquatic plants and aquatic animals' life cannot report, because the acidic content of the riverbed now is going to change. So it's going to become more acidic. So you recognize now that the poor fish, them can't live into the saltwater stream because it becomes acidic. So they may not all die, but they may be migrating to other areas. So the fisherman and the fisherwoman among us now trying to fish and can't get no fish. So it has a ripple effect now on the livelihood of man, because the man can't work now, so there's no work for the man, right? So it has a lot of ripple effects, right? So which is why I'm saying to you, geology is not just one area. It spans a myriad of areas, right? Anybody excited about it yet?
Yeah, man, sir.
Yeah. So
Yes, sir.
yeah, man. So that was the aim for tonight. I'm not all finished yet, but that was my aim, just to get you interested and excited about the different areas of geology. Funny story though, when I was introduced to hydrogeology while studying, you couldn't tell me that I wasn't going to become a hydrogeologist. I love it, and then after that, you learn more, and then your mind change, and you learn something more, and then your mind change, and then you just grow up, and then you just become one maths teacher, and then you wonder what happened, right? But the aim of me teaching you this course, and every time I teach you this course, I want you to be able to look at an entrepreneurial avenue to geology. I really want you to look at an entrepreneurial avenue to geology. How it is that I can monetize what it is that I'm seeing. Geology is just the earth around us. One of the things for me, and I've done it several times, especially when I was teaching the upper level, I would just drive down to Ocho Rios, or maybe not fully to Ocho Rios. I may come off at Linstead and take the old road and come back. I will just drive along the north-south highway and the exposure in the lithosphere that they would have cut through in order to build the road. And I would just look at the exposure and I said, wow, that shale. And but see a fault there, and it was folding. There's a fold right here, and you know, you're able to identify some of the things that are happening right there that is within the lithosphere that you would not have seen had they not cut through. And then I get very upset and very angry, but my upset and my anger stays within me because I don't really talk about it. Mr. Walden and I may have one or two conversations on the matter, but I get upset when I see them cutting through, having cut through the hill, and did not tie back all of what the exposure, so to speak. So what do I mean by tie back? They will put like some chicken mesh, for argument's sake, so it is that they can hold. Right, they can hold the exposure, especially if it's a shale and it weathers very easily. And what they will also do is sometimes spray liquid grass. Liquid grass, no, you know, well, of course, it's grass seed that is liquefied, and they're just going to spray it there, and hopefully the grass seed sticks and it starts to grow, and the rooting structure of the grass will cause some binding effect on the soil, so it is that you don't have that sort of land slippage, you know.
Sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, but if the rooting structure can also cause biological weathering.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely, because it what it does, it absorbs a lot of water, and it does more harm than good. So this is where now you as a geologist, as an environmentalist, now will go in to say, here the plan now, the rock structure or the exposure itself is not good enough for this liquid grass because of the biological damage that will cause, right? After a while, the water stays there, it stays there, and then it's going to collapse, right? So you will have to do what it is that you will need to do in order. And what one of the things that I see that they do, and I know the geologists around would have advised them, when next you're driving along the north side, and I mean, trust me, you don't have to be even planning on going anywhere. Just take a little drive out and enjoy the geology around you. Sometimes you see they use a lot of limestones, you know, the little white looking sort of bricks that they have. They use a limestone to build structures around it, right? Preventing, Michael, this biological damage, because the exposure in itself is very fragile. So the areas where you see they build these massive structures is because of the fragility of the exposure. The other areas that they have not done anything is because the exposure is different, right? You may have more igneous rocks than you have sedimentary rocks. So once it is that where it is that you have those sedimentary rocks, you are going to have the weathering of those rocks pretty easily. So they are going to want to build better structure or better groin or whatever it is to prevent and to preserve what is happening. Put it this way. Some people are very excited, class, to live on a hill. I am not one who is going to be so excited to live on a hill until I do that sort of surveying. You know, and that's another area, I didn't capture that one. That's another area, you know, sometimes whenever you purchase a property, they will have a quantity surveyor that comes to survey the plot of land. Anybody know what they're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, man. And the quantity surveyor has to do geology. The civil engineer has to do geology. Because when the civil engineer is going to build that bridge, and I think I spoke about it, right, for the engineering geology, when the civil engineer is getting that task to rebuild that bridge over flat bridge, the engineering geologist will have to go and look at the mineralogy, study it carefully. He can't just go and say, okay, we're going to build something here, because it will collapse. So he will have to do, or she will have to do, some extensive study. And I mean, not just study, but get a lot of people involved. So when you would have finished your degree and set up your business and so forth, they may come to you and say, what are your views as an environmentalist? I want you to come in, and you may say, I did some work within the gorge, and this is what I found in the gorge, and you bring all those ideas together. And this is how these things take place. So when they have a bid for something, and this is what NEPA's responsibility is about. So as an environmentalist, I may go to NEPA and say, no, but you can't do this because this is happening. And NEPA say, really, this is happening? And NEPA will send their geologists on board out there to look at it and say, say it's true. I'm finding this sort of exposure here, and it is not strong enough for a structure, or we have to drill too deep down. So the structural geologist knows when they say, I'm sorry, but I told you it was going to cost you $50 million. But really and truly, it's going to cost a little bit more because I have to drill 10 feet further in order to get to bedrock. So which is why it's very important for you to understand the lithosphere, right? And the lithosphere, the study of the lithosphere is going to take place at the upper level. But you see, what we stand upon is on the lithosphere, best believe you have water run under there. So if you drill if you drill too deep down, it's water getting buck upon. But sir, you can have rock living atop water. You better believe it, right? So it's the whole study. It's very nice. When you do it, you have a greater appreciation of the environment. You don't want to do some things. I remember my and tonight's class is just really talking about what is geology. I'm really giving you a little background and just pretty much whetting your appetite. I've not gotten into the meat of the matter. All right. I remember teaching in the upper level and was talking to my students to say that to this very day, as a matter of fact, outside of the room that I'm currently sitting in, I have me a large garbage bag with my plastic bottles, my liquid detergent, my dishwashing detergent, my cleaning detergent bottles, and all plastic bottles that I would have consumed the contents from would have, I separated from my garbage. And I had the students laughing to scorn, but sir, when it's separated and it goes to Riverton, what do you think happens? I said, I know. It goes back into one big hump. But guess what? As an environmentalist, I cannot, in clear conscience, take my plastic bottle from my hand soap and throw it into my kitchen garbage. I cannot do it. And this is something that I have been doing for years. I cannot do it. I cannot take my liquid detergent bottle and just toss it among the other garbage. You will never find that from my property. You will never find me do that. I can't take my cooking oil bottle and even my water bottle or my juice bottle. I cannot do it. If I'm drinking in Arizona, that tin is also separated. I just cannot do it. Why, sir? Because I have a greater love for the environment, having gone through with the study of it. Now, just imagine, if me get out to work at NSWMA, me transform this whole waste management business in this country, transform it. All right? So it's a lot. So geologists do quite a bit, and this is not an exhaustive list. It's not an exhaustive list. I only found a few areas that I am speaking about, and I would expect now you will go and find, some other areas. Interestingly, are you following what I'm talking about, though, class? I need to know that you're following me,
Yeah, my sir, we're following you.
All right, good. All right, good. And
I'm sir.
Yes, sir. Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. When you were speaking about the persons that the civil engineers, you're familiar with Ambassador's Heights?
Ambassador's Height?
Off Mannings Hill Road.
Ambassador's Height.
Off Mannings Hill Road.
That's near Constant Spring Grove. No.
Above it.
No. That's where Church on the Rock is.
Right. No, not that side.
All right, give me some answers.
So instead of
Oh,
give the hill, you go up the hill.
okay, good. Yeah. Okay, got you. Yeah, good. So you pass that. You
All
pass up
right.
there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So all right. So I remember we were doing the impact assessment for the housing
Yeah.
solutions.
Uh-huh.
Yes. And when we were doing it, we realized that the solution was between two faults.
Mm-hmm.
So the geologist, I think Mr. Norman, he said to us that, boy, I don't think them should be right here. You know. When we went out and did the study and we were taking the photographs, there were two evident land slippage right along the fault.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that development went through?
And you have big houses up there. Talk through, don't?
Yeah, man. And every one of them suffer from damage when the earthquake tremors
Earthquaking.
occurred
Absolutely.
and the heavy rain.
Absolutely. Did you hear Michael when I said that I am not the first to go and live on a hill? You heard when I said it in
Yes,
class?
yes.
Yeah.
That's why I brought it up.
Huh?
That's why I brought it up when
Oh, yeah, man. Oh, yeah. You see, people talk about, I want to go up Cherry Gardens, go live. Me not live up there. The amount of fault lines up Cherry Gardens, me not living up there. Me not living on me not lay down in my house and me the fan drop down in my face or the other floor drop down on me. I am not living up there. I can have a house there, but I'm not living there. Right? So, you know, a lot of things we do, Michael, and other members of the class, that sometimes we just do it because of status. You know, we come across some good money and people say that they're going to, oh, I'm going up to Jacksonville to live. Okay, fine. But what have you done? And I'm saying to you, as a geologist, it puts me into a lot of perspective. I remember I was interested in a property. And not too far off from where you're talking about, you know, Michael, which is I was asking you to give me some landmarks. And I was able to trace a gully. And at some point in time, the gully disappears. I said, but this is strange. Because if the gully disappears, it means that some of these developments are built atop this gully. I said, I will not be victim of this. And I did my investigations. And when I did my investigations, I am a couple yards away from, my interest was a couple yards away from where this gully runs. And there is a monstrosity. There are two monstrosities that are built atop this gully. And I remember one of our current star athletes, lived across one of those apartments. And words coming is that the ground floor, when there's heavy rain, they are seeing water coming up into the bath and water coming up into the toilet and water coming up into their houses. And they say, what you expect? What you expect when it is that we interfere with these natural escape routes for water? They are going to come back. Years ago, I did some, as a part of my field study. You have to do a field study before you go into your final year. And we did a field study and went up into Mavis Bank. And I remember my teammates and I were walking through the bushes, and I said, but hold on now. And I said to them, I said, but this is not safe, you know. Because right about now, me don't know how to get back down pan flat. Because this piece, you know, feels so safe. And then we got to a place where we saw this monstrosity of a building. And I said to them, I said, but let me ask you now, how when we get steel and block and cement come up at them place here? And the man them say, we just pay the man them on our work a little thing and them carry a 2 block by them hand and so forth. I said, and it builds this. And then the university had given us a map. And when I looked at the map, I said, but when I come here, and them say, what, Mishand? Me say, you know, recognize the building the on top of the riverbed. Them said, no, Shand. Me say, all right, look on it again. And we stood up there and we look at them and say, yes. And I remember going to the guys and I said, but guys, you are building into the riverbed. Them say years we lived there, so. And I'm coming back to that. I am coming back. What I'm saying, years we lived there, so I'm coming back to that because that's what the study of geology is. The man them said to me, I years we lived here, so from your baby boy, my born come see that. And my parents born up here, so. And them never seen a flood come up here, so nothing happen. I said, be careful because it may not take 50 years. Nor 80 years, but 100 years later, it may happen. Do you believe me that shortly thereafter, I don't even think we were finished with our study. Anybody remember this thing where they found they were looking for people they call like the Andem people them? Anybody remember Andem?
No, sir.
All right, that was
yeah, man.
all right. So Mike, you know what I'm talking about. So it was within that particular era. The same place where we went was where they found him. And which is why my spirit said that this place is not a safe place because of where it just don't look too safe. Do you know that the same people them that we spoke to that you're building in the riverbed, that the river come down and wash away the monstrosity? It happened. It happened. So I'm saying to you, not because you see a riverbed is dry, a man going to build up a house in the riverbed, it's going to come back. The water takes its course. So you have to be very careful and very mindful of it. Let me jump to this piece here. We're looking at a scientific method. Now, this is me now talking about the introduction to geology. What is geology? So all of what I just spoke about was the definition of geology and showing you how far geology can take you. And as I said before, guys, I'm very aware that the list that I presented is not exhaustive. You can find other areas, and I'm going to be expecting you now that your excitement has been aroused, that you're going to be reading to find other areas and come and say, sorry, no, so I find one more, I say, yeah, man, and we can share it in class. We're talking about a scientific method. The scientific method. It said at the core of biology, and you know, geology is an amalgamation of all these areas. You remember I talk about a geochemist, a geophysicist. You can have a geobiologist to also, you know. All right. So when you hear me talk about biology and chemistry and physics in this class, just understand that geology is an integrated approach. Right? It's integrated with mathematics because we do a lot of time calculation. And I'm coming back to that word, TIME, a lot of time calculation, a lot of chemistry, biophysics. We do a lot of communication. We do a lot of measurements, right? And we do a lot of communication because we talk to a lot of people about different areas. Let me jump to that in 10 minutes. So it says at the core of biology, we are going to be looking at a scientific method approach. Now, it's just one of the approaches that I'm taking out. There are many different approaches, but I'm just taking out one approach just to show you exactly what it is that we're talking about. You're going to be making an observation. You're going to be asking questions. Remember, I talk about communication? You're going to ask questions. Doing some work in the central inland of Jamaica, we saw, I had the pleasure of interviewing some very senior members of the community. And they said, no, man, in 1950, we had one storm and the residents were able to come out and estimate where the water got to, the level of the water. I mean, talking about passing window height, you know, right? So them say, is a whole lot of people got flooded out. And we say, like, you serious? And they would say, yes, man, my youth. And this is what happened. So we got that information, we recorded it. So you see, you're making an observation, you're asking a question. So we recorded it. And then what we did know, because we were mapping, so remember I said to you, just before your final year, you had to do a preparatory work, and this is what took us up into Mavis Bank. So when you finish and you pass that course now, them send you onto the big study. I went to Clarendon to do that study. And we were inside in the inlier of Clarendon, the middle part of Clarendon. And the guys told us some horror stories that, because the map of Jamaica, the geological map of Jamaica was not developed at that point in time. So it never had anything on it. So our responsibility now was to develop that geological map of Jamaica. And when we got that information, it did sound way too nice. So what we had to do is to go and talk to the senior members, not look up why they were just born the other day, the senior members of the community, to ask him about this particular flood. And guess what? The stories that we hear from several different senior people within the area pretty much sounded very similar, and they were able to give us some timelines, and we were able to put it down to say, yes, this in truth and in fact happened. So we need to make an observation. So I observed how far the water level got to. We're going to ask questions. I will ask many different questions. I will go to a different part and them say, yeah, man, so down there some used to live. I'm going to have to move down the center from down the center because it the flood out. I would have to come up on the hill, so to come live, so forth and so on. You're going to be making a hypothesis or a testable explanation, right? So, for example, you're going to be saying, you're going to be going, geographically to see how far this flooding took place. Is it just a particular area? Then when we went back now, we would have said to our professor, hey, Doc, this is what the residents are saying, And Doc would say, but if you look at the map, you recognize that it's really a valley, And he said, blow away is true, but if it's a valley, that means that all of the water will come and settle right there. So, and then we say, but some residents say that them used to live down here and they migrate. Anybody remember Monique? Where they had the housing scheme, and every time it rained, the people then get washed out because it was built in a valley. So the people then went through NHT and other places to the banks and get good mortgage and bought houses, and they don't want to see it set up, because the moment it's set up and they know it's going to rain, they know they're going to get flooded out. Cars were lost, furniture were lost, lives were lost, and the people just get frustrated. So what the government had to do was to build other housing schemes and migrate all of them people from there. So that section now, nobody's going to live there. And it is because of what it is, the observation. So they're making a hypothesis. Say, you know what? I think this is going to happen. They're testing this hypothesis. See here, a testable explanation. If it happens once and twice and three times, they're going to say, no, man, it has been happening for too long. It is a hazard. Let us do some mitigation strategies around it. And then you're going to make predictions based on this hypothesis. So your prediction is going to be, it's going to rain again. And if it rains again, others are going to get flooded out. Then you're going to test the prediction. And then you're going to iterate. You're going to use the results to make new hypotheses or predictions. All right? So the scientific method is going to, I'm going to send you this so it is that you can read it through. So I won't necessarily read through everything that I have here. Okay. Am I still sharing?
Yes, sir.
All right. Are you seeing the screen?
Yes, sir.
What are you seeing on the screen? Because my thing.
Docs.
Okay, right. Because my document just got lost a while ago. All right, hold on. All right, hold on. Let me stop share one moment to just find it back. Forgive me. All right, hold on 1 minute, please.
Sir, you're gonna send it to our email?
Yeah, man. I'm going to.
Okay.
All right. So, all right. I have 5 minutes. So the I just lost the document. I'm going to find it back for you. It's not permanently lost. But yeah, man. So the scientific approach is going to talk about this thing happening, why it happens, and those 5 things that I showed you. You are going to be having conversations with residents in a particular area, and they will say to you, this is what occurs. And you know, as a geologist, as an environmentalist, will say, look, if one person or 2 people or a number, and you say one of the things, these senior members of the community will be able to tell you that, no, man, at 12 we live here, and I say, no, I'm all born 1930. It's a blow, 1930. That means you guys are in the 90s. You guys are way in your 90s. And I'm saying, yes, man, I'm 1930 we're born. So when you can hear somebody who is almost a centenarian, who is speaking to you about catastrophes that took place way back when, and nobody else has that information, you have to interview these people and document it. You have to interview and document. And the documentation now will have to be placed on a map and placed close by. So if the recurrence comes back around, you can say, but we recorded this and this happened sometime later. All right. So all of this is very important, and important for us to make a record. All right. So I'm going to pause here. I'm going to send you the document that I created, so it is that you can read through, and I want you to read around it. I want you to read around it. Before I ask a question, I'm going to ask you, well, before I ask my final wrap-up question, I'm going to ask you to, is there a WhatsApp group for this, for this group? I know some of you are in, well, all of you do classes together, but I know some of, there's no WhatsApp group. All right, what I'm going to ask you to do is,
oh, there's a WhatsApp group, but the associate group in this programs.
All right, I wouldn't mind having one just for the geology. I wouldn't having my one for, because I mean, this is where I'm going to be sharing a lot of handouts and, you know, support and so on. I don't want to bombard her with the unnecessary ones, the unnecessary handouts. All right. So I wouldn't mind if we could just create one for this course, as I normally do for my courses, so that we can have a one-stop shop with the information. I may come across a nice article and I say, hey guys, I want to read this. We're going to discuss this in class later. And that is going to be the point of our conversation for later on in class. I would want you to create one for me. I am not going to be the creator. I mean, I don't even have to be admin. It would be nice if I'm admin, but I don't have to be. And then I will share my information with you so that I could be added to the group. So that's one of the things I'm going to ask whoever is in a position to create such a group to create one for me. And we can share the information. What I normally do is just to upload the notes to the WhatsApp group and not necessarily email it. All right? You can email it to yourself thereafter. All right? Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Great.
Yes, sir.
So we are at the end of tonight's class.
Sir.
And yes, sir, go ahead.
Oh.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say that most of the students are not seeing geology on Arian, so
Yeah,
they're not able to select it as yet.
Mrs. Williams spoke to me about it this afternoon, and I was trying to mark off some papers. So what I will do is I will send a message tonight to ICT. All right, I'm going to ask a person or persons who are going to be working on this WhatsApp group for me to hurry up and do it, so that as soon as the WhatsApp group is created, then I can have further conversations to know exactly who the ones that are not seeing it. Because I know she's going to ask me, Mr. Shan, who is not seeing it? And I may need to get an ID number and the whole stuff. So just set up the WhatsApp group, and any little thing relating to geology, you can just drop it there. Yes, sir.
Everyone but Michael.
Yeah. I am the only one seeing it. I am the only one that has registered for it.
Oh, interesting. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so that information I can definitely act upon before class, before our next class. All right. So I should have confirmed that we meet on Monday 7 to 9 and on Wednesday 5 to 7. 5 to 7 on Wednesday. That's what you have.
Yes, sir.
All right. Cool. Final question. It's important for me to know I do a lot of self-evaluation, so that I know I have to wheel and come again and come better. What I have is a data pack with me. So in case my Wi-Fi goes down, I have my data so I can back up on. And in case my data goes down, I have my Wi-Fi because I don't play with my classes. All right. And sometimes both of them go down at the same time, and I'm just left alone. So I would say to the students, guys, here's the plan on over WhatsApp that, nothing is happening. It could be a system network problem. I just going to call off class for tonight or whatever. Go and read through this and let us see if it will come back up. All right. So it's very important to do that. But also I want to get some feedback from you. So I apologize for the unstable internet, but as I explained to you, I recognize that I was connected to my data and before, which is why I got disconnected. So when went for it, I recognized that I wasn't on my Wi-Fi. It's important for me to know. So I want you to feel free to say, boy, sir, you taught the class, but you never get where they try bring across. Very important feedback for me, so that I can be able to improve on the delivery, improve on what is happening, especially that is an online class. I really want you to be able to leave your geology class with something that you can say, boy, in college I learned about my geology. It's a very nice area. It's very interesting. And as I said before, you can find ways in geology that you can monetize later on in life. So thank you for coming out. Are there any questions before we say goodbyes?
Or did you speak about anything like important? Because I got in like 5 minutes before class ends.
Oh, yeah, man. Everything that we spoke about earlier was important. Everything. And then what we did was to look at, what is geology. Then we looked at some areas of geology, and then we started looking at the scientific approach. The first part of your syllabus, and also I will need to send you copies of the course outline. You may already have it, but it's my responsibility to send it again. So yes, so we are at the second point in the course outline, looking at the scientific approach. And then there are some issues. My slide got messed up a while ago. I looked at some issues. There are several issues with geology. And one of those issues is with time. A lot of things we don't know about because time in, like we talk about this pandemic now, but we heard 100 years ago we had another pandemic. And now 100 years later, we're having the corona pandemic. The other pandemic we may not be around to experience, but maybe our children will be around to experience that pandemic. All right? So this is what we talk about in terms of time. So yes, everything that we spoke about was very important, Kylo. So you will get the recording, and you will get I'll send you the notes, so it is that you can read through. I'm going to be sending you some stuff, guys. Please just find the time to read through, because they will form the basis of our conversations for class. All right? Any other questions before we say goodbyes? Anybody learn anything? 330-731. 330-7311. 330-7311.
Okay, sir. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, miss. All the best. We'll talk on Wednesday. Take care.
Nice.
Bye-bye.